we're very blessed, and we're very blessed to have musicians and singers. And thank you, Janet, for being flexible. I appreciate it. I'm going to start at John chapter 10, Ethan. And I want to read a few scriptures to you. And I just want to share my heart again today. This morning, I shared a little bit of what I feel like God would have me to do. I'll soon be 50 years old. In 6 months, I'll be 50 years old. And, and with Brother Rick passing away, Brother Gillespie passing away, it just kind of brings things into perspective for me. I'm not that 25-year-old kid at Temple Praise. That's not going on. If I'm going to do what God's called me to do, then I need to do what God's called me to do.
Amen.
And not wait around any longer to do. And so I'm kind of, I'm at a what's that called? Crossroads? Yeah, I guess it's fork in the road. There you go. That's a good old word. Fork in the road. Fork in the road. Okay? And so we're at a strategic inflection point. That's what Bill Gates called it. Strategic inflection point. What does that mean? Fork in the road. That's what it means. The fancy way of saying fork in the road. And so I just want to share with you a little bit of my heart again today. A little bit of what God, I believe, has called this church to do. I haven't done this in a while, but I'm going to do it because I want this to get into your spirit. I want to talk to you a little bit about what our core values are in this church. It's supposed to be. Number one core value is we're Christ-centered. It's all about Him. It's not about my preference. It's not about what I want. It's about Him. Everything that we do should reflect Him. Everything that we do should magnify, glorify, however you want to say it, Him. Everything. We honor one another to glorify God because people are at the center of God's heart. Glorify each other. Honor each other to glorify God. Honor each other to glorify God. Number 3. We unashamedly believe in the power of the gifts and the fruit of the Holy Ghost. We're led by His Spirit. If we're not led by His Spirit, we're being led by somebody else's Spirit. We're being led by something. We are contributing, not just consuming. We are valuable to the body of Christ. We are contributing to the body of Christ, not just consuming from the body of Christ. We're not a parasite to the body of Christ. That is not who this church is going to be. Now, I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying we're not going to do that. We're contributing, not just consuming. We will always bring our best. Excellence honors God. We'll always bring our best. Whether that best meets your satisfaction or not, I don't know. Maybe what I preached this morning, you're like, whatever, I've heard that before, Brother Jeff, whatever. What I'm going to preach tonight, maybe you've heard that before, and you're like, whatever, Brother Jeff. Maybe my best isn't for you, but for somebody, that message was the best that I could do for them today. We love our community. We are the salt and we are the light in this community. We will be radical givers. It's better to give than to receive. What is a radical giver? Somebody that gives freely. Somebody who gives what they have. Somebody gives their time. Somebody gives their efforts. Somebody gives their money. Somebody gives their time and efforts and money. Radical givers. We are focused in our mission. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes I think we get too busy doing too many things. I think we do. We eat the steak and leave the gristle, which means we'll have a teachable spirit. We'll leave what we don't need. We'll take what we'll consume what we want and leave what we don't need. We have a teachable spirit. We don't take this place for granted. We're thankful for our church. I mean to read those all the time, but sometimes I get ahead of myself and my mind's 100 miles an hour. And I was talking with Brother Dean before service, and I'm just bad at, I'll say something and my mind will start firing somewhere else, and I'll go off on it. And so because it just brings ideas to my head. I think they call that ADHD, I don't know, but anyway. If you have your Bible, turn to John chapter 10, verse 10. Oh, sorry, verse 1. That's some high quality H2O right there. Amen. If you don't know water boy, you don't know what I'm talking about. All right. Didn't have Landon back. Landon went fishing trip, got all suntan and all looking all good. Look at him, all burned up. Amen. I know it. That's mystery. Mystery. Mr. Jones and Mrs. Jones. Amen. Established in everything. I'm glad you got back. Today is Stephen's birthday. Happy birthday. I called the guy in California today, and I talked to him, and he said, I said, how are you doing, Brother Wood? He said, I'm good. Today's my birthday. Is that why you called? I said, no. But your twin's an old white guy. So that's right. Today's his birthday, too. And he's a good dude, man. I like Brother Sam and Sister Donna Wood are two of my favorite people in the world. I love them. They live in Monterey, California. And I met them in Israel. And they gave you $1,000. You didn't even know it, but they did. And they sent $1,000 to the church just because they love you and they believe in you and believe in what we're doing. And I called them this afternoon and just checked in on them. But today was Brother Sam's birthday, and he's a good guy. And I don't even know why I told you that. But here. You got any Ritalin video? Chapter 10, verse 1 says this, Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same as a thief and a robber. But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and they calleth his own sheep by name, and he leadeth them out. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. And the stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. Let's pray. Father, I thank you for an opportunity to speak to your people today. God, I'm so thankful that I get to do what I get to do. It's not always easy, God, but I enjoy this part. Father, I give you praise and help me today to be the very best I can be for you. In Jesus' name we pray. And everybody said, Amen. Thank you. Now, I probably won't holler and spit at you tonight like I probably should. But I'm just going to open my heart and talk to you for a minute. This year's been hard for me. The last 4 weeks have been really hard. Rick has been gone for 3 weeks now. Brother Gillespie just passed away Friday morning. And so this has just been a really rough 5 months. 5 months. There's some other things that happened the first of the year, but it's good. It's not insignificant, but it doesn't matter. But this has been a really tough, hard grind for the first 5 months of this year. And so as I come to you today, I just want to talk to you for a minute about trying not to get focused on what has happened, but where we're going. Try to not focus on everything around you and the distractions around you, but get focused on what God is actually doing and what God's actually calling us to do. It's easy to get distracted with all the things that happen. It's easy to get distracted when a 39-year-old man gets killed, leaves a wife and 2 kids. That's an easy distraction. When a 71-year-old man passes away that everybody in this church loves and cares for, it's hard to not be distracted by that. And we have a family that's shattered right now, and we have a family we're trying to put the pieces together. And thank God, Amy and Kevin have been absolutely wonderful to take Rick and take April and the kids and do things with them and include them and stuff. They're not here tonight because April is with Kevin and Amy. They took them to Big Splash in Texas, and they just got back from Branson, just trying to keep their mind off of some things. And they're ministering. They don't even know it. They think they're taking them to fun amusement parks. But no, what they're doing is they're doing what God has called me to lead this church to do, and they're ministering to them, and they don't even realize what they're doing, and God is using them to help April and Riker and Annabelle get through the hardest time of their life. And I'm so excited that I didn't have to say, hey, why don't you invite them to... No. Kevin said, y'all, you're going with us.
Yeah.
Get your stuff, you're going with us. And Amy's like, get your stuff, you're going with us. See, their Branson trip was Amy and Kevin's anniversary trip, but they put that off because they wanted to help minister. And I'm going to brag on them because they're not here. They get mad if I brag on them when they're here. So I'm going to brag on them because they're not here. But that was their anniversary trip, and they said, you know what? She's more important than our anniversary trip. Yeah. That is amazing to me. Amen. That's amazing. You can clap for that. Because they wanted to help.
Amen. They
wanted to help. I know that other people have done other things, and I'm just using them as an example. And for Sister Norma, the weeks coming up are going to be hard for her. When everybody else goes home and everybody else's life goes back to normal, that's when it's going to be hard. When everybody else's life goes back to normal but yours, that's when it's hard. Because everybody else just goes back to work, they go back to their family, and their loved ones are still here, and you're missing a piece. So that's hard. So I just wanted to share a little bit tonight with you about not being distracted by the things that are going on, but look at what God's doing in your church and in your families. Verily, I say to you that he that enters not by the door into the sheepfold, but cometh in some other way, the same as a thief and a robber. But he that entered by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. Now I'm going to share a thing with you real fast. That Jesus is our shepherd. I am an under shepherd of a church, but he is the shepherd. He is the shepherd of all shepherds. He is the shepherd. He's the one that leads us and guides us and directs us. And I'm going to share with you where God is leading you, guiding you, and directing you to. Number one, he has blessed you beyond measure in this church.
Amen.
I don't know if you realize that, but you are not just financially, but look around you on a Sunday night. I was doing the numbers. I'm a numbers guy, and I was looking at the numbers on for Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. I'm just that kind of stuff. I think stuff matters. I think you can tell a trend by numbers. I think you can tell where you need to improve some things by numbers, and not everything, but you can kind of see a trend. I believe in numbers and looking at numbers, and I believe in looking at the attendance and seeing. And I was talking a little bit before service that the Sunday night services have really kind of just went down a little bit. We lose about half the people on Sunday night. But look at you tonight. It's not full, but it's half full. I think we would probably put you all on one side, and you'd be uncomfortable a little bit, but you'd be maybe a side and a half. So it's not like it's empty, but there's a lot of Pentecostal Church of God churches. If this was Sunday morning, they would be so excited.
Amen.
But look around you and see what God has done for you. And look at the people that are around you. Look at the talent you have in this church and the people that God has placed in your path. And don't tell me that God did that just because he likes me. No. He did that because we have a calling and a purpose. And so when a robber or a thief comes in some other way and tries to distract you, tries to get you, remember it's not Jesus that's trying to distract you. It's not Jesus that's trying to get you to get your focus off of the mission. He's trying to keep your focus on the mission. It's the robber that tries to distract you so you don't see what's going on around, so you don't see what God is doing around you. You look at the distractions. Listen, me too, sister. Okay. I don't know what it is over here, but I'm about, we got hit on. Verse 2 says, but he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. How did Jesus get here? How did Jesus get on this planet? He was born. Thank you, David. Boom, thanks. David gets a gold star. Boom. He was born of a virgin named Mary, right? How did the devil get here? He was cast out of heaven. He was not born. He was cast. He came in some other way. Jesus was born of a virgin named Mary. The devil was cast. I beheld you like lightning. And I know you've heard me say this before, but how many have a belly button?
Amen.
If you have a belly button, you're legal. Amen?
Amen.
You entered in this way, you entered in this planet the right way. You were born. The devil doesn't have a belly button. He was not born. He was not born on this planet. He has no right to be on this planet. He is an intruder on God's creation.
Amen.
He is illegally here. He's not here by birth, but by casting out. He couldn't be in heaven, so God cast him out into earth. Why did he put him on earth? I don't know. It's not my part. That's not my deal. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. I'll get on with this. But Jesus entered the door. I got done?
Yeah.
Okay. And Jesus entered the door through the sheep gate. Verse 3 says, to him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calleth his own sheep by name, and he leadeth them out. Verse 5 said, verse 4 says, and he putteth forth his own sheep. He goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. And a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. And this is where I want to get tonight. They know not the voice of strangers. I have a calling on my life to do one thing. Before I get there, I want to read Matthew chapter 9, verse 35. But we'll get there in just a second. I have a calling on my life is very simple. Very simple. To lead people to Jesus Christ. Maybe that's breaking it down too simply. I don't know. But that's what God has called me to do. Is to lead you to Jesus. That you might lead somebody else to Jesus. That's it. I'm not trying to be anybody special. I'm not trying to be a YouTuber. I'm not trying to do any of that stuff. That doesn't mean a thing to me. None of that stuff is important to me.
Yeah.
What's important to me is that people are saved.
Yeah.
They're sanctified. They're set free of addictions and problems and sin. They're delivered. They're whole. Those things are important to me. The other stuff is just window dressing to me. I am about this. This is about what I'm about. That I have compassion on the multitude. Matthew chapter 9, verse 35. Let's go to 36, sorry. And when he saw the multitudes, when Jesus saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. As I look around, and I look around at church, and I look around at the city, and I look around at people, it seems like people are scattered and they have no shepherd. They have no direction. They have no way. Nobody's showing them or pointing their way to a better life, a better way. It seems like they're just doing their own thing, and they're all scattered everywhere. They don't know what to do. They don't know where they're coming or going. They don't have no purpose. And it seems to me that they're looking for a shepherd. It seems to me they're looking for somebody that's pointing the way. There's the ark. Okay? They're looking for somebody. Did anybody see her video of the ark and it's raining? That's hilarious to me. Okay, and so I know I'm weird, but it's just funny to me. I laugh out loud. Okay, and for somebody to see the multitudes of people and say, somebody will do it. Somebody will tell them about Jesus. Somebody will do it. Can I help you to tell you that you are the somebody? I told you I was continuing what I preached this morning, so if you didn't get anything this morning, you're going to get some of it tonight. I didn't get a chance to preach all of it this morning, and I still think it's still burning in my spirit to get out this afternoon. So I just want to share with you that I don't expect you to win everybody. You're not going to. You can't touch everybody's life, but you can touch somebody's life. Somebody's life. You can help somebody find Jesus. I don't know. Have I lost it? Have I lost my mind to think that the church is supposed to tell somebody about Jesus? Have I lost my faculties to think that we're just supposed to tell somebody that Jesus loves them? This I know, for the Bible tells me so. Is it beyond the pale of belief that the church would stand up and tell somebody about Jesus Christ? Is it beyond the pale of belief that we can just say, hey, you need to come and meet Jesus at the church. Come be my guest at the church. You know, I don't like the terminology visitor. I don't like that terminology. Why? Because a visitor is different than a guest. If you invite somebody to your house, they're your guest, right? You make sure that they have something to drink, something to eat.
Yeah.
You make sure that they have a place to stay.
Yes.
You're hosting them, right?
Right.
A
Yeah.
visitor is somebody just drops by.
Right.
You didn't really invite them. They just showed up. You don't really care if they have anything to drink. You want them to leave. You know, see you. Oh, good to see you. Okay, bye. Yeah, I gotta go. Okay, and so, but a visitor is somebody that shows up. But a guest is somebody that you prepare for. A guest is somebody that you make room for. A guest is somebody you make a special dinner for. A guest is somebody that you make a special trip, a special effort to bring them comfort. I don't really like the term visitor. If you're a first-time visitor, I don't like that. If you're a first-time guest, because we've prepared for you. Everybody's looking at me like I'm stupid, but that's just... Russia's back there mad. Can't believe I wasted my Sunday afternoon with it. I'm just kidding. Hear me. If we don't start preparing for guests, we won't have any.
That's right.
Now, this church has people coming in and out here all the time. I get a stack of cards a month. People that have come and visited. But they came and visited. They weren't guests. Some of you may think my little water thing is stupid. I want somebody to feel like they're welcome to get a bottle of water. If it's cold water, we'll make sure it's cold. You know, we don't give you water out the back. Make sure it's cold. We're preparing for a guest. I did it for a reason. If you guys have been here long enough, if I do something, it's for a reason. I did it for a reason. I got the welcome sign. Brother Tommy Clark made the welcome sign for me, and they did a great job. I love it. It was fantastic. We're going to auction it off. I'm just kidding. When I get done with it, but I did it for a reason. The reason being, I want people to feel like they're welcome to come here and what's the difference? And I know people get all upset. There's a bottle of water in the church. Okay, great. Okay. What's the difference of that and when we had a water fountain in the church? What's the difference? I'd rather you sit there and not get up and down 5 times.
Amen.
Because that distracts me more than you drinking a bottle of water. It does. I'd rather you go and get a drink than get up 4 times and go, sit down. Okay? And so, that's crazy. So anyway, I'm going on with my Jesus, just the same. All right, verse 5. The stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. Here is where the rubber's going to meet the road for me, and then I'm going to let you out of here pretty early tonight, because that's just what we do. Lisa, David, Dean, me, Naoma, Vanessa, since she's visiting, Janet, Carol, she's a guest, she's a visitor, she just stopped in. And so she's our guest. Somebody get her a bottle of water. And who else am I missing? Buster, Larry, Carolyn, they've been here for 25 plus years. James and Shirley, Kay. Who am I missing that's been here 25 plus years? Have I missed anybody? Okay, Sister Janice, Jim and Juanita have been here a long time. Almost. Okay. That group of people have been here a long, long time. Okay, they've heard numerous messages preached. They've been told how blessed they are, and how this and that they are, and this and the other, and laid hands on and greased up and all that stuff. Okay, they've had all that stuff. Okay, but here's the point: it's us that know the voice of God. I'm not saying you don't. I'm saying that we've been here and heard for 25 years everything that has been spoken over this place. Okay? If we know the voice of God, is it not our responsibility to tell somebody about what God has said? And when something contradictory comes against what God has said, is it not our responsibility to say, wait a minute, that's not what God said? Is it not our responsibility to stand up and say, wait a minute, God said X and Y, why are you saying Z? God said X and Y, that doesn't equate with me, because God said that we shall be a force in this city, and a white substance shall go out and shall touch the entire part of this city. Does anybody remember that? You 25-year-old people.
Amen.
Does anybody remember me standing up here? Some of you have been here just a few years since I've been here, but does anybody remember me saying this? That we will do more, go further, and do greater than we've ever done? Does anybody remember that? Does anybody remember me preaching about the horizon beyond the horizon? Does anybody remember me preaching that? Does anybody remember me preaching this series about the prodigal son and how he had to come to himself, and you have to look at yourself like you are right now, not how you used to be, not what you're going to be, but right now, who are you right this second? You've got to come to yourself, and you've got to look at yourself for right now where you're at. Are you whatever hog pen you're in, or if you're standing in front of the Father saying, I'm not worthy to be your son, yada, yada, yada. You have to look at yourself right now for who you are. Does anybody remember that? Okay. Does anybody remember facing your darkness? If you don't remember that, you have short-term memory loss. That was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Facing the things in your life that keep you bound up. Facing the stuff in your life that keeps you from excelling in what God has you to do. Facing those demons in your life, facing them and headlong facing them. So it is our job as now a corporate body. And some of you folks that haven't been there as long, and we haven't done a very good job of this, I hope we have, but maybe we haven't, to tell you that this is what God has promised us. This is what God has spoken to us. And if we haven't done a very good job of that, I apologize, but we are not going to simply be a little church at 1100 North University doing nothing for God and just coming and hanging out. That is not my calling. That is not what we're doing. And if that's what we want to do, let's stop it. And I'll resign. You can have somebody else come in here and speak, and I'll go do what God's called me to do, but that's not who I am. I am not doing that. I cannot do that. It drives me crazy that I feel like I'm so far behind. I feel like I'm so far behind on the schedule. I just don't know what to do. And here's why I said all of that. Verse 4 says, and when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him. Church, elders, all that have been here for a while, can we please just follow Jesus?
Amen.
And not follow your desires, not follow your whatevers, your agendas, and just follow Jesus. Do you know why? Mitzi, how long have you been coming to church here? 2 years, 3 years? Come walk with me. You know why? I'm not trying to embarrass you with this one. I'm not embarrassing you. They're never here with us. Okay, guys. I need her to follow Jesus because she's following her.
That's right.
And as long as she is following the shepherd, Mitzi can follow Lisa because Lisa knows what God has said. Okay, come here. Go on now. You're the next contestant. And Kay is going to lead them, and then you guys go sit down. Kay is going to lead them around. But Mitzi has been here 3 years. Kay and Lisa have been here forever. Jan has been here forever. But they have to follow. She's got to follow somebody. And as long as they are following after Jesus, and they're following after what God has called this church to do, Mitzi can follow them. Because they know the voice. Thank you, you guys can sit. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Mitzi. Thank you, Kay. As long as they are following Jesus and following the voice, verse 4, when he put forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. You with me? Does that make sense to anybody? I just want to make sure that you guys are with me, okay? We have responsibility.
Come on. Come on.
We have responsibility for a generation following behind us. Not only a generation, but people that are our own age that are following. What do you saying, brother? That's what I'm saying. I don't know what's up here, but I'm about this. Woo! Hallelujah. Okay. All right. Here we go. I'm telling you guys, there's gas coming. Verse 5 says, I keep saying 5. 4 says, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Can I just say right now, if Kay and Lisa and Dean and me and Naoma and Janet and Carol and whoever else, Buster and Larry, Carolyn and Jim and Juanita and James and Shirley and whatever. Guys, can I tell you, if we don't know the voice of God by now, we're hurting for certain. Can I just say that? If we don't know the voice of God by now, we're hurting for certain. Because man, if we've been walking this thing for 25 years and we don't know, was that God? I don't know. Is that God? Holy cow, really? How do you not know? That tells me you're not spending any time with him. If you're not praying and seeking his face, you know you won't know his voice. Because the devil's pretty good ventriloquist. But he is also, you can tell, you can discern his voice. Discern his voice. Okay, let's go on. Somebody said, let's go on, preacher. All right. Verse 5 says this, and a stranger, I'm actually going to 5 this time. A stranger they will not follow. But not only will they not follow him, read it, but will flee from him. Not sidle up next to him. Not, but a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. So it's our responsibility as the sheep to follow after Christ, the head shepherd. Why? Because there's somebody that needs to know there's always a lead sheep. They don't all just bunch up like get a 9-foot path and they one behind the other. Basically. They don't get in a straight line and like on the lawnmower. They're like everywhere, but you know what I'm saying? There's always somebody right there. Okay? Okay. And so anyway, you have this line of people following behind you. You have a responsibility to know the voice of God so that they'll hear the voice of God, and a stranger's voice they will not hear. And not only will they not hear it, they won't follow after him, but they will flee from the stranger's voice. It's all of our responsibility to follow after Jesus. True. The Bible says to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Work it out with fear and trembling. It's up to you if you follow the Lord. That's up to you, not up to me. It's up to me to tell you that this is the voice of God. This is the shepherd that came through the sheep gate. He didn't climb up some other way. That other voice is not the right voice. Because this is what God has spoken into our lives, is X and Y. Don't listen to Z. He's spoken X and Y. Don't listen to Z, because Z will try to take you down a road you're not ready to travel yet. You're not ready to go down. Does that mean that God can't speak another vision? No. But until that first one has to be fulfilled, let's go now. The first one has to be fulfilled. Now, verse 6 says, this parable spake Jesus unto them, but they understood not what things they were which he spake to them. Verse 7 says, then said Jesus unto them, again, verily I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. He's the door. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers. Just follow him. But the sheep did not hear them. Verse 9. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved and shall go in and out and find pasture. Let me ask you a question. What does that mean to you? Through Jesus Christ, I find good things to eat. I find pleasure and pleasurable things to do. I find good pasture where there's water and there's food. I find the good things of God because I go in and out of whom? I go in and out of Jesus. I am the door. Who's the door? Jesus. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved and shall go in and out to find pasture. I go in and out through him to get the blessings of God in my life. I can't just say, well, Jesus is the door. I'll follow him and he's just going to take care of everything. No. Through him, in and out through him, I find grass, I find food, I find water, I find pleasure, I find all the comforts that Jesus has for me. But there's also danger in the pasture. How many animals get hurt in the pasture? Well, I hope most of them that get hurt are not in your house. I hope that they're in the pasture somewhere. There's danger in the pasture, but there's also protection in the pasture. I said pasture, not pastor. There's also protection in the pasture. Okay? Verse 10. How many know this by heart? The thief cometh not but to kill, steal, and destroy. When I come, they may have life. They might have life more abundantly. That's our money scripture, right? That's our money, boy. God will give me money. That's not what it all means.
That's right.
I've come that they may have life, and they may have it more abundantly. What does that mean? An abundant life. That means above plain, regular old, mundane existence. That means abundance in every aspect of your life. Abundant life, abundant everything that you get today. God, anything and everything that he can give you and you can accept, he will give you. You ever wonder why some people have money and some don't? Because some people can handle money and some people can't. That's the truth. And you can like me or hate me, but that's the truth. Some folks, hey, listen, if God gave you $1 million, some of y'all will be broke next month. Wouldn't have any idea where all the money went. Some, God will give you $100,000, you'll retire and do just fine. Because you know how to handle it. All money is a tool. That's all it is. Money's not some magical bean to grow a beanstalk. It's just a tool. Can you use it or can you not? I see some guys that are very skilled with tools, and I see some guys that use the same tools, and you're like, eh. Looks like Dog Patch USA when they get down with something. Dog Patch. Y'all know what Dog Patch USA is? Y'all don't know what that is? Looks like, I don't know how to explain it. You don't know what it is. But it looks like it's all crooked. It looks like a shack and a shanty. Some guys can use the same tools and build beautiful homes. Some guys, it looks like, did you fall down before you built it? And so, it's all crooked. Can you use the tools? Can you cut a straight board with a saw? Or is it always crooked? Can you use it? I told you about the Church of Christ guy tonight, about asking me about how come us Pentecostals can believe for everything but money. Did I tell you that story?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I did. So how come you can believe for healing and all that stuff? Yeah. But money, it seems to be he says it's just money. He'll give you some more. And I was like, what? He said, it's just a tool. How many hammers you got? I don't know, 6. He said, it's just a tool. Do you believe in God for a hammer? I said, no. I got plenty of hammers. He said, it's the same thing. Church of Christ guy. He didn't even believe in us having music on the stage, much less what I'm supposed to believe in. And he's like, just money. No big deal. That guy's probably dead by now. He's an older guy then. I just thought, man, it's incredible to me how we get hung up on stuff because it seems so impossible. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, it's too much. Oh, it's too heavy. I can't lift that. It's too hard. And Jesus is just like, it's no different than anything else. It's no different. I'll get off topic. Here we go. Verse 11. I'm the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. Verse 12. But he is an hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not. Seeth the wolf coming and leaveth the sheep and fleeth. And the wolf catches them and can scatter the sheep. The hireling fleeth because he is a hireling and careth not for the sheep. I'm the good shepherd and know my sheep, and I am known of mine. That's where I'm going to stop. Go back, if you will, to verse 11. I'm the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. We understand this. I mean, on a basic level, we understand this, right? That Jesus died on the cross for us. And he calls us his sheep. So on a basic level, we understand what Jesus is saying. Verse 12. 12. Thank you. But he that is a hireling, and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming and leaveth the sheep and fleeth, and the wolf catches them and scattereth the sheep. Now, can I put a little spin on this? And when you preach it, you can preach it how you want to, but I'm going to preach it this way today. If we are his sheep, and we're supposed to be his, and we're supposed to lead somebody else, they're supposed to be able to follow us because we're following Jesus, and we know his voice, and we follow him and him alone, and we flee from the other voice. We don't, from a stranger. We don't listen to the stranger's voice. If we're doing all that, is it possible that we cannot be hirelings, and when we see danger approaching, run and leave God's people to their own devices?
Right.
Can I just talk about my neighborhood I grew up in? I'm going to anyway. I grew up here. This is my neighborhood. I caught crawdads out of that creek for a long time. There's still some crawdads in there now because I run some little Linden boys out of there Wednesday because they're like flipping rocks up here. They're like, boy, get out of the creek. Okay? And so, for years and years and years, there's been crawdads in that creek under those rocks. And me and my cousin and our friends that were here, we spent a lot of time in that creek. And can I tell you that when I lived here, in case you sit down, can I tell you when I lived here, there was families, there were kids, there were there's families. There were, most of them worked on an oil field and Wrangler and had all that stuff going on. But I've watched my community, my neighborhood crumble over the past, it's been the last really 20 years. I've watched it disintegrate. As the older people died, their kids live elsewhere, they sold their houses. Nobody takes care of their yards. I say nobody. Most people don't take care of their yards. Trees have overgrown. Stuff thrown everywhere. Piles of stuff outside. Old cars. Stuff. This neighborhood wasn't like that when I was a kid. I don't want you to look at my neighborhood now and see how it looks and think that's how it was always. It wasn't always like that. It wasn't always like that. Where we lived at the end of Wilson, then you turn back north and go Highland, that's where, when my mother was a little girl, that was a dirt road. And you can tell because the curbs stopped at Wilson. The curbs stopped and then it was just a dirt road. It went, actually it dead ended at a pig farm that the Felios had. And so that street dead ended at, that was before Ace Hardware or Walmart. And so it dead ended there. Okay, and And you can tell where the city street stops because the curbs and the sidewalks stop. And the curbs if you'll go down Highland Street, the curbs are made out of sandstone and cement. There's a WPA project in the 1940s. The WPA project. And those used to be visible because people would take care of the curbs and they would take care of the street and they had the ditches were all clean and I'm telling you, it was not it wasn't Norman Rockwell, but it was taken care of, okay? You can tell that they had pride in where they lived. Some of the city leaders lived in the Gilkeys. You don't even remember the Gilkeys, but they were part of the city leadership at that time. They lived a few houses down from us, and I think actually where Leah lives. That's where they lived, and they had pride in the city, and they had pride in what they were doing. And I've watched my city disintegrate, and it's very bothersome to me. Very bothersome to me. Why is that bothersome? I'll tell you why. Because that tells me that there's somebody that they've given up hope of anything greater. They've given up hope of anything happening in their life is greater than that. They've given up hope and they've just seen, well, they do it and they do it. I don't know why I'm mowing my grass and no one else mows their grass. And it infects them. And it starts infecting a neighborhood. It starts affecting people's lives. And as a church, in the neighborhood I grew up in, sometimes I think we see the wolf coming and we run and hide because we haven't taken ownership of the sheep that God's given us. Right. That makes sense? It's easier to run and hide than to fight a wolf. It's easier to run from the neighborhood than to actually fight for the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's easier to run into our church and hide than clean the gutters and clean the street and clean the curbs and clean all that stuff out. It's easier because sometimes I think we get a hireling mentality. God's going to take care of it. No. God hired us. God asked us to take care of it. God asked us to be the shepherds of His sheep. God asked us to be the light of the world, a city on a hill. God asked us to be the salt. God asked us to be the light. God asked us. He asked us. He gave us a demand and said, I need you to do that. Church, what I'm asking you to do is not an easy thing. I know that. It's not easy as it hike it to. Some of you guys that drive, Kim's not here tonight, but it's not easy to go pick up these kids and you see where they live and you see the circumstances in which they live. It's not easy. The task is not easy. This city did not turn overnight, and it's not going to turn back overnight. This city didn't lose its way overnight, and it's not. And I'm not saying we're completely lost, don't have any direction. What I'm saying is this: is that we simply have got to be what God has called us to be, and that is the shepherds of God's sheep, and help somebody. The problem is that most people think that money is their fix, and money is not the fix. Money won't do anything but put a Band-Aid on a cancer. The problem is to heal the cancer. The problem is the chemotherapy. We have to do the chemotherapy and the radiation to have the cure. The problem is that's true. We have to have the cure, and we have the cure. Jesus is the cure, right?
Right. Amen.
Yes.
He's the cure. Not the band. Okay. But he's the cure that for all sicknesses and illnesses and all diseases and everything that we do. He is what we need. I am than I am. He is all that He is all that we need. But here's what I want to get across, and please bear with me for 4 more minutes. If I have the cure, and I don't tell somebody about the cure, what have I done? I don't want to stand before Jesus with blood dripping from my hands and say, I was afraid. I didn't know. Church people that are here on Sunday night, can I tell you something? You're the ones. You're it. You're the ones that God's going to use. You're the ones, because you didn't have to be here tonight. You could have been anywhere else in the world you wanted to be tonight. You didn't have to be here. You could have been at the lake. You could have been, I don't know, wherever, the movies. You could have been whatever. I don't know what people do. You could have been sitting home watching the finals. The finals started at 7 o'clock. We got to hurry up and get out of here. Okay? And so, you could do all that stuff. But you're here. Not because of me. You're here because you love the Lord with all your heart. You love God with everything that's in you. You want to be used of God. You want God to use you. I understand that. I get that. It's going to cost you something. Look at me. Look at my nose. It's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you. But here's the thing that I want to get across to you is this, is that God, if He's called you, will equip you. I love the story. I love the story where Jesus says, you guys go, don't take a coat, don't take anything. I'll provide for you. That's hard for me. I'm thinking, it's going to rain, I'm taking a coat. You know, I'm taking some sandals, I'm good. I'm taking a lunch, I'm good. But it's hard for me to just go, okay, God's going to take care of it. That's not to believe for it. It's hard sometimes. It's hard. But if we truly are called to do this, it's going to cost you something. But God will give you what He requires. God will bless you with what He requires. Our problem is sometimes we start feeling like it's ours. And it's not His. It's His. Everything that we have is His. I have it. I'm a steward of His stuff. I get to live in His house because He let me have a house. I get to go eat pizza tonight after church because He's given me the ability and given me the money to go do it. But if not, then I need to go help somebody else. Maybe I don't go eat pizza tonight. Maybe I pay for somebody else to go eat pizza tonight. It's not going to hurt me not to eat pizza one time. I'll promise you that. Probably help me sleep better. You understand what I'm trying to get across? Is that making it plain? Okay.
Yes, amen.
I hope I'm making it plain. I'm making it plain that I'm not upset with you. I just think that we can do so many great things. I look and see greatness. You look and see a church. I look and see greatness.
Amen.
I look and see the ability to do anything and everything. I look at people who can lead a lot of people to Christ if we just simply will. Some of our contemporaries that are big now, you know, Life Church, Elevation, all that stuff, you know, the only thing that they do differently than us is they do what they talk about instead of just talking about doing stuff.
Amen.
That's the only thing different. They do what they say they're going to do instead of talking about what they're going to do. They just go do it. And then everybody goes, oh, how did you know how to do that? And they go, we didn't know what we're doing, but this is what we do. And we failed a lot. And we fell down a lot. And we got up every time. And then we decided, well, that doesn't work, so let's do this. They just did what they said they were going to do. I equate it to prayer meeting a lot. Prayer meeting, it seems like we talk more about what we're going to pray about than pray. I'm thankful for the people that come to prayer meeting. I'm not trying to make you mad. They're like, I come to prayer meeting. I'm not saying that. I love that you come, and I thank you for coming to the prayer meeting. I appreciate it. But sometimes I get off on a rabbit trail and I start talking 15 minutes about something that I have a hill of beans what we're going to pray about. And so sometimes I equate it to that I need to focus on what we're doing. Is that okay if I say that? That the difference between Life Church and Elevation Church and the typical Praise Church is this: they actually do what they say they're going to do, and they don't talk about what they're going to do. They don't have paralysis of analysis. They just do it. Let's go for it. That guy has a lot more money than we have, but God has a lot of money. God has a lot of money. God's got a lot of people. God's got a lot of resources. God's got a lot of stuff. Those churches don't have all the answers. They know who the answer is. They don't do everything right. I promise you. I'm going to have Tyler Holt come talk to you, and I promise you, they don't have all the answers. They don't have every T crossed, every I dotted, and they don't know everything to do. I guarantee you, if I could put a truth serum in Craig Rochelle right now, he'd say, well, we don't really know what we're doing. We're just doing what, we're just kind of doing it. Yeah, they're good at some things, but I guarantee you there's some things he's like, I don't know, let's try that. Let's see what happens. God said do it, let's do it. Let's see what happens. I promise you. Those guys just because they're on television and on the internet and all over the place doesn't mean they know everything. They're just trying to do what they know how to do. And stepping in this office. I'll be preaching 25 years this year in October. 25 years, October, 25 years. That's crazy to me. I preached my first message here on a Wednesday night 25 years ago in October. I preached, shut your mouth. Death and life are in the power of your tongue. So I preached. I preached about 20 minutes. Did awesome. 25 years. It's a long time. It's a quarter of a century I've been preaching this gospel. That's a long time. We were talking about that last night. Long time. Church, can we just go do some stuff? Can we do stuff?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm ready to say yeah.